starts right now with breaking news.
Unfortunately, we can now add January 6th, 2021, to that very short list of dates in American history that will live forever in infamy.
As Congress resumed its session about 2 hours ago, Senator Chuck Schumer said that this day will live in infamy in American history. At least one woman has been killed and at least 13 people arrested and countless others injured as chaos erupted in Washington, D.C.
The Capitol building was locked down this afternoon as supporters of President Trump broke into that building earlier in the day as lawmakers were meeting to affirm the Electoral College results. Now, protesters were not just happening and taking place in Washington, D.C., but all over the country, from Las Vegas to Minneapolis, Sacramento to Denver.
The National Guard was deployed in Washington, D.C. as our elected officials sheltered in place. Today's congressional session was disrupted as rioters stormed our nation's Capitol building, breaking windows, setting off fire extinguishers, scaling the building walls. The Capitol was deemed secure about 5:30 local time, with lawmakers returning to the floor hours later.
Now you're looking at live photos from Washington, D.C. at this hour where a curfew is in effect overnight. Now we do have team coverage in Washington. National correspondent Christine Frizzell, she'll have the latest from Congress on the Electoral College vote. But first, we start with Atra El-Nashar on the ground outside of the Capitol.
We're supposed to protect our country, support our country.
Now ominous words from the president delivered in front of a crowd of protesters Wednesday afternoon. Around 2 p.m. local time, many of them starting to make their way to the U.S. Capitol, where lawmakers began the process to certify the Electoral College vote. Oklahoma Republican Senator James Lankford seen here being told the news.
Protesters are in the building.
The House floor breached not once, but twice.
I called my wife. Let her know I was okay right now.
Democratic Congressman Dan Kildee of Michigan was in the room and describes the frightening moments to Sinclair.
And our Capitol Police drew their weapons. I heard a series of pops. I don't know if that was them hitting the glass because they were attempting to break the glass, or if it was tear gas, or if there was actual gunfire.
Rioters breaking into offices.
It was a sad, sad day for our republic, and they were criminal acts.
Republican Congressman Steve Stivers of Ohio.
The last time the U.S. Capitol was breached was in 1814 by British soldiers, and we were at war.
This video showing the moments after a woman was shot.
We gotta get EMS here!
Outside, police overwhelmed by rioters, using tear gas, calling in reinforcement from nearby Maryland and Virginia.
We're getting more information about the woman who was shot inside the Capitol during the breach. Local law enforcement tells us she was taken to a local hospital where she later died. On Capitol Hill, I'm Atra El-Nashar.
And one lawmaker on Capitol Hill today was Iowa's Randy Feenstra. Feenstra, taking the seat vacated by longtime Representative Steve King, said he and his staff had to shelter in place this afternoon in the Capitol.
Just truly a sad day for America, for our democracy. You know, I truly believe in our First Amendment right, the right of freedom of speech and the right to protest. But we should never have violence or anarchy. That's completely unacceptable. I just want to say that this is the greatest country in the world, and we have freedoms and liberties. And this, unfortunately, is just a sad day for our country, and the world is watching us. And I can only hope tomorrow is a great day, and we can be this great country in which we are starting again tomorrow.
Also responding tonight about the events in Washington are other local representatives. Senator Chuck Grassley, who is third in the line of succession for the president, was safe in a secure location, saying on Twitter, today's violent attack on the U.S. Capitol was an attack on American democracy itself. I condemn today's violence in the strongest terms, and perpetrators deserve to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Governor Kim Reynolds saying this behavior is unacceptable and not who we are as Americans. You can see all of Iowa's representatives' responses to today's breaking news on our website at SiouxlandNews.com.
Demonstrations not only happening in Washington today, but also in Iowa and Nebraska as well. Dozens of pro-Trump supporters marched at the Capitol buildings in Des Moines and in Lincoln. They too were protesting the Electoral College results that were being certified in Congress. These two protests did remain largely peaceful. One protest organizer in Nebraska, he told our sister station that he was marching for election integrity and to preserve the rights and freedoms that are at risk.
Chaos at the Capitol, but for now, calm on the Hill as Congress is now back in session. National correspondent Christine Frizzell joins us now with the important first step in moving past this dark day.
Good evening. A stunning turn of events here inside the U.S. Capitol. After sheltering in place and trying to hide from an angry mob, lawmakers this evening have returned to work. And some of those Republican senators who were outspoken about objecting to the results of the Electoral College have now changed their minds. After having their offices and their sense of security breached, this was the scene for lawmakers this evening. Senators back to work to continue to certify the Electoral College votes.
Now we're going to finish exactly what we started. We'll complete the process the right way, by the book, and we will certify the winner of the 2020 presidential election.
Many in Congress calling the riot a shameful assault on our democracy. Some Republican senators who had planned to object changing their vote.
And I cannot now in good conscience object to the certification of these electors.
And we're headed towards tonight, towards the certification of Joe Biden to be the president of the United States.
President Trump in a tweet called his supporters, quote, great patriots who have been badly and unfairly treated for so long. Twitter later threatened to permanently suspend his account. Also tonight, a wave of resignations inside the Trump administration. That includes Stephanie Grisham, the chief of staff for First Lady Melania Trump. On Capitol Hill, I'm Christine Frizzell.
There's also developing news out of Georgia tonight as Democrats landed another major victory as runoff elections resulted. Election results are announced. Jon Ossoff has been declared winner in the second Senate runoff race in Georgia, but by less than 1%. Nonetheless, that is a sweep for Democrats and dramatically changes the landscape on Capitol Hill. Sinclair's chief political correspondent Scott Duman in Georgia tonight to explain.
Well, word tonight that Jon Ossoff has indeed defeated incumbent Republican Senator David Perdue is resonating well beyond Georgia's borders, because what it means in conjunction with Raphael Warnock unseating Senator Kelly Loeffler overnight is that Democrats now have taken both races. They'll have 50 seats in the chamber, and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris would then serve to break any tie. That opens up an entirely new path for a Biden administration on how it wants to govern now that it has, albeit a slim majority in both the House and Senate. This also is seen as a major rejection of President Trump in a state that had been safe haven for Republicans for the past 20 years or so. And it's significant that two political outsiders, men who had never held public office, can upset two incumbent senators. And by the way, it also means that President Trump will be the first one since the Great Depression to lose both his re-election bid to the White House and also lose the House and Senate. In Savannah, Georgia, I'm Scott Duman.
As the events continue to unfold in Washington tonight, please stay with Siouxland News for the latest details. Now, we do have complete coverage online at SiouxlandNews.com, also on our Facebook page and on our free Siouxland News app.
Well, it wasn't the biggest winter storm we've ever seen, but it definitely ranks up there on the between a scale of 1 to 10, about a 7 on the nuisance scale. We've got some slush that'll be refreezing overnight tonight. Here's our Dakota Dunes cam over the past 6 hours, and temperatures are still hovering very close to or just a little bit above freezing, but it will drop below freezing tonight. And we have some patchy light snow and rain showers rolling through moving from south to north across portions of Siouxland, right here in Sioux City as well. Those temperatures at 34, so nothing is really sticking. 33 in Wayne, 35 right now in Ottawa. A few snow showers, which could switch over to some freezing drizzle possibly late tonight, something you may want to get up earlier than usual and take a look. You might need to get the ice scraper out. Temperatures down to 28. My complete forecast just a few minutes.
Still to come tonight on Siouxland News, the latest on the COVID vaccine distribution here in Siouxland.
Rural healthcare workers rolled up their sleeves as the COVID-19 vaccine was given out to more frontline workers here in Woodbury County. That's next at 10.
son.
She haven't filed for.
Emergency medical services personnel working in rural Woodbury County have received their COVID-19 vaccine. The Siouxland District Health Department teamed up with the county to administer the first round of vaccines for rural EMS personnel, which took place at the EMS building in Climbing Hill. Health officials provided 100 doses of the Moderna vaccine in the course of 3 hours. One frontline worker tells us the process was quick and painless.
Pretty easy, didn't even feel it. We transfer so many people that I think it's beneficial for us to be covered. Main reason is because taking it home to our families.
There were 2 staff members administering the shot, 2 people drawing the vaccine out the vials, and several others on hand assisting. The health department says it's important to make sure they have services available to protect first responders.
I think the biggest thing is, again, this is just the early phases of this vaccine rollout. We expect vaccine to be pretty tight for the next couple of months, and it's going to take us at least a few weeks to get all of our healthcare providers, those people that see patients. It's going to take us a few weeks to get those folks done.
Those who received a vaccine this evening will receive the second round during the first week of February.
2 district health departments in Siouxland, they have released their latest vaccine plans. First, Siouxland District Health Department announcing they're currently administering vaccines to the Phase 1A priority groups, which include, as you saw, healthcare personnel, long-term care residents, and staff. And starting next week, they will open clinics at their office by appointment only for healthcare workers that are not affiliated with a hospital or primary care clinic. More details will be released on that in the coming days. And the Dakota County Health Department is preparing to move to Phase 1B soon, opening vaccinations to residents 75 and older. For more information on the updates from both counties, we'll have more in this story that you can find on our website at siouxlandnews.com. It's known as America's game, but rarely do you see anybody you know spin the Wheel of Fortune. But that's now changed thanks to a Norfolk, Nebraska native.
Let's talk to Luke. Luke Nofke, is that about right? That's right.
Luke Nofke was born and raised in Norfolk, where his parents still live. He has since moved out west, but Nofke is a lifelong fan of Wheel of Fortune and never really thought about trying out for the show until his daughter convinced him to do it. Following a bunch of interviews, he found himself as a contestant.
It was surreal. It's obviously, like a lot of people, I've watched Wheel for pretty much my whole life. I watch it every day with my partner Kim and my 9-year-old daughter Lydia. Like, we literally sit down and watch it every night. Actually being there and walking on to the set and then actually getting to spin the wheel and play the game, it was pretty crazy.
Now, even his daughter doesn't know this, but Nofke's episode will be airing tomorrow night at 6:30 right here on KMEG 14.
Now, wait a minute. She knows now. You just said something. Oh, hopefully she's not watching. Anyway, the pride of Madison County there, right? We've got lots of clouds and some freezing drizzle and snow in the forecast. I'll break it all down for you. Weather is next.
Forecast with Chief Meteorologist John Gerard.
Big, white, fluffy, and wet snowflakes. That's what most of Siouxland saw today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we got a lot of that. And, John, are we going to have a little break? I know we got a lot of that and then some rain and quite a slushy day.
It was kind of a mishmash with those big, clumpy, white, wet snowflakes, like frosted flakes falling out of the sky, more like cereal than snowflakes out there. But we've got some more on the radar tonight. This is basically just some patchy light snow and some drizzle rolling through. Look at Denison, kind of in the bullseye right there of a little bit of a light to moderate snow shower there. It's all kind of moving off around the backside of that area of low pressure, which is now down south toward Oklahoma, but is still extending way up into Siouxland. And we're going to continue to see these patches of snow showers and drizzle going through. Fortunately, right now, temperatures are above freezing, but later tonight they'll slip below freezing. Could create a bit of an icing situation on some of those roads out there early tomorrow morning. North Sioux City, this is what it looked as the rain switched over to snow about the middle of the afternoon today, leaving a little bit of a dusting there. It was dinner time and a snowy day there. Jim Compton showing us the cardinal there eating and also some other birds there eating out of the bird feeder. They seem to like this kind of weather. Good for them. And there's a buck and a doe right there. It's kind of camouflaged, kind of hard to see there, but there's the buck, there's the doe. You might say it's a buck and a doe playing in the snow. That's courtesy of Patty Cotter. Thank you so much for that. By the way, all of your weather picks, send them to us at SiouxlandNews.com/chime in. We go through that stack every day, and I try to put the best ones into my weather reports any chance I get. Our Sioux City cam from the Ho-Chunk Center over the past 6 hours, sponsored by JC Roofing and Insulating. Notice how we had a little bit of rain earlier, then all of a sudden turns to those big, fluffy, wet snowflakes. And then now we're just kind of looking at intermittent snow showers and drizzle. Kind of a drizzly look at the weather in Norfolk, sponsored by Bank First. It's not a whole lot better in Kingsley, kind of damp and overcast there, sponsored by FS Repair in the city of Kingsley. It's a little bit damp in Ottawa as well. A camera shot sponsored by the city of Ottawa and the Hut Discount Store. You can see temperatures 33 in Sioux City, getting very close to freezing. 33 in Wayne. It is freezing at Orange City, Sheldon, and Spencer. It's below freezing at Storm Lake and Pocahontas. But the main concern is right along I-29. That's where most of the moisture has been locked up today, and that's where the freezing temperatures could be a bit of an issue late tonight. You might want to set your alarm a little bit earlier tomorrow morning, in case you might have to do some scraping out there off the windshield. A few snow showers, possible freezing drizzle. Temperatures at 28. Really not a nice day at all tomorrow. 33, overcast skies, icy roads mainly in the morning. Will be cloudy and cold for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, not much change. It will get milder next week, though. That's something to look forward to.
All right, thanks, John. We've got a great story tonight in sports on two young men who have formed a special bond on and off the basketball court.
But first, we head back to our nation's capital and the latest from lawmakers and our team on the ground amid the riots and protests. Stay with us.
Do you know a high school student who goes above and beyond to make their...
Continuing our coverage tonight from Washington, D.C., D.C. police saying moments ago that 4 people have died. 1 woman was shot and 3 others had unspecified medical emergencies. 2 pipe bombs were also recovered outside both the Democratic and Republican National Committee buildings. Taking a live look now at our nation's capital tonight, and for the latest, we turn to Heather Graff on the ground in Washington.
A citywide curfew took effect here in the nation's capital at 6 o'clock this evening. And in the hours since, we have seen a much quieter scene than the chaos and the violence that we saw unfold earlier today. Take a look behind me and you will see the massive law enforcement presence. So in this crowd, we have the DC Police Department, Capitol Police, and we've also seen members of the National Guard out here as well. Starting at 6 p.m. when the curfew took effect, they began to expand the perimeter around the Capitol, slowly moving any remaining protesters back. And since about 7:30, they have been just holding this line here, a large perimeter of law enforcement officers now surrounding the Capitol. We're standing on the west side of the Capitol, and of course, we'll continue to monitor the situation here, but that is the very latest, as we said, at the end of a chaotic day in Washington, D.C. I'm Heather Graff. Back to you.
As events continue to unfold in Washington across the country tonight, please stay with Siouxland News, and we will have the very latest overnight developments tomorrow morning on Siouxland News at sunrise, beginning at 5 a.m.
Welcome right back with sports, and tonight we bring you a special story out of Sergeant Bluff. It's a story of brotherhood. Jake Lehman and Majok Majuk have formed a bond over the last few years that will last a lifetime. They've led the way for the SBL basketball team and will keep that relationship for the next 4 years. Well, that story in a few minutes. Plus, the Creighton basketball team has won 4 in a row, trying to keep that streak intact as the Jays enjoy their highest national ranking in program history. We'll have the highlights next in sports.
Breathe in the bacon.
Southwest, yeah.
Sports with Owen Sebring.
Over the last 4 years, Jake Lehman and Majok Majuk have proven that brotherhood is about more than sharing genetics. These 2 Sergeant Bluff basketball players have formed a lifelong bond on the court and at home.
A lot of people ask, like, is Majok adopted, like stuff like that, and it's just, I kind of just say, like, yeah, he's my brother, and just kind of roll with it, because it's too hard for some people to understand or comprehend what actually is going on.
Here's what is going on. Jake and Majok may not bear a striking resemblance to one another, but these 2 are brothers.
Probably about after a year or 2 of living with each other, we kind of come to acknowledge that we're not going anywhere and we are brothers.
Jake, a product of Sergeant Bluff, and Majok, a native of Des Moines, met playing club basketball in Ankeny during middle school. Majok's family, who comes from South Sudan, felt his basketball opportunities might be better in Siouxland, so Majok moved in with the Laymans in Sergeant Bluff.
He just kind of came into the family, and there hasn't ever been anything official.
At first, there's a bunch of fights between us, but we had to grow past that. Then once we did, then that's when we realized we're in here for a long run.
Majok still travels to visit his family in Des Moines, while the Laymans serve as parents for the majority of the school year.
We kind of co-parent.
Yes.
He wanted an earring, and his dad said yes, so we would have said no, but...
Absolutely, we default to his mom and dad.
The talent between these brothers is undeniable. They're leading the Warriors in scoring this season with over 11 points per game per brother. But their bond has become about more than just hoops.
The thing that's kept it a good relationship and the thing that's been keeping it consistent is how we treat each other as family without basketball.
They seem to love the fact that we were multiplying in love and in family. The more the merrier.
We've gotten way more back than I think we've given, quite honestly.
It's something bigger than just basketball, and we're just a big family here and doing something we love together.
Seniors for SBL this year, Jake and Majok will continue their careers and live together next year, as both have committed to play basketball for Southwest Minnesota State.
It's always been a dream for both of us to play college basketball, and then having the chance to do it together, having an extra 4 years to be with him, it's been great.
Basketball is only going to be another 4 years.
Right.
So we need the people in their lives that are going to develop them as men, because they're going to grow up to be a husband and a father someday. And basketball is just going to be a memory.
Yeah, it's kind of too late to turn back now. I mean, we've been with each other for a long period of time, and I think that when we're older and stuff, that we'll still be referring to each other as brothers, and our families will still stay pretty close in touch.
We'll be calling each other brothers forever.
After leading SBL to the state title game a year ago, Jake, Majok, and the Warriors are just 2-5 overall this season, but it's almost exactly the same spot they were in last year at this time before making that run to state. The Warriors' next home game will be next Tuesday at home against their rivals from Bishop Heelan. On to the college game, Creighton is 7th in the nation, their best ranking in program history. At home, vying for their 5th straight win. 5 straight looking good from the outset. 7-foot freshman Ryan Kalkbrenner throwing down to put the Jays up 9. Late in the first half, Damian Jefferson snipes it. Goes the other way, and bang, raining down fire and fury on the Seton Hall defense. Second half now. What's the Elven word for friend? Balak. Mitch Balak pumps in a three-pointer to make it a 20-point lead. Keep in mind, Seton Hall is the number 2 team in the Big East. Creighton is 3rd, and the Jays make them look terrible. 36-point win for Creighton's 5th straight W. And in Iowa City, Hawkeye freshman Caitlin Clark was just named a top 25 finalist for the Wooden Award. Taking on Minnesota, Clark gets an early and 1 bucket. Iowa down by 3, but the Hawks were trailing by 10 at halftime. In the third, Clark gets her own rebound after a block, pulls it outside and fires home a three-pointer. Hawks are within 4. They take their first lead of the game late in the third quarter. Kate Martin hits the breakaway layup, 59-58 Iowa. The Hawks outscore Minnesota 30-13 in the third, 54-31 in the second half. Clark pours in 37 and 11. 4 straight wins for the Hawks, who haven't lost at home this season. It was a busy night in the GPAC for Siouxland teams, all on the road. Trey Brown and Zach Emig both with double-doubles as Morningside wins by 23. Briarcliff hits 100 for the first time this year, and Northwestern picks up a road win over Mount Marty. On the women's court, Morningside wins its 6th straight in a rout of Doane. Briarcliff with its 11th win of the season, already matching last year's total. And Dort putting the pieces together, finally a 4th straight win for a team that started the year 2-5. That's going to do it for sports this evening. John will be right back with a final check of your weather.
This is an immediate alert from Pintus & Mullins Law Firm. Attention.
Light snow showers rolling through parts of Siouxland, and that could switch over to freezing drizzle late tonight. So you may want to set your alarm a few minutes earlier, get up, and you might have to do some scraping early in the day. Cloudy and cold Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But hey, next week, you can hang in there. It will start warming up. Thanks for watching. We'll see you right here again tomorrow.